Breathing in, I feel the sun on my face. Breathing out, I relax my body and my mind. Hi friends, today I want to share with you my thoughts and feelings about impermanence and about taking refuge. As you can see, I'm sitting outside, which is beautiful weather in the Amsterdam forest, and please forgive, but you're going to hear passers-by now and then, so try not to be distracted. I will too. So one thing I find a tremendous refuge for me is nature, and in my case this has been since I was a child, when I found myself sad or in trouble, feeling inconsolable in some way. Even as a child I took refuge. I went for walks outside, and I also went to church actually sometimes, although I wasn't baptized, but I've had this presence of light with me since I was a child, and since I was getting older it's been less frequent, but I'm still fortunate to be able to feel this, and I think Christians would call it an angel. But for me, it's a presence of light. It's mostly around my left side. I don't know why, but sometimes it's also just a feeling. And it's this feeling of unconditional love. It's hard to put in words. I think the quality of Mother Mary or Avalokiteshvara for me comes very close, and it's I think the loving energy of the universe. And I've been really fortunate to have this ever-present support with me since I was a child. So this has made a very big difference, I think, in how I deal with adversity. And it's not always present, because sometimes I get too hooked up in my worries and my fears and my project, and too stressed out, and as everybody does. But when I can really let go, I can open myself to this, and I think everybody can, to this ever-present love. I think, as Tai often said, that even the fact that we are just alive makes it that we are welcome, we are loved, we are supported by Mother Earth. The fact that I breathe the trees, and I can drink the water, and I can feed myself, and there's this big cycle of supporting each other. I think that's a big part in being able to feel supported by the universe. And in my case, not having had the support of family except for my grandparents, this has helped me a lot not to fall into despair in tough times, like when my relationships would break up, or in frequent times in my life when I was severely ill. And last week I had several bad news, but one was again very bad news about my health, which came as quite a shock, because I didn't realize it was so bad. And as I say this, and this is why I pause, I actually let myself feel the contact, the surface I'm sitting on, the feet touching Mother Earth, and just breathing out. And because I've been kind of hyper since I had the bad news, it was like the first few days I talked a lot with friends, and then I kind of changed and I found myself hardly being able to meditate. And then I started singing a lot. I love singing. So that brought me in a very joyful mood, but also almost hyper. And then this morning I did a very long total relaxation by one of the Plum Village elders from the Plum Village app. And the last few days I've already went to nature, because that's why I'm circling back now. This is when I have a hard time, I find myself either going to the Dharma, or as I was a kid, I actually didn't finish that trail of thought. I would go to empty churches, and I would there be more able to feel this presence of the, let's call it, angel energy. Although I wasn't baptized and I didn't learn much about Christianity in my life. And so the last few days I went back to that healthy habit of mine. So I went to the beach yesterday, and I feel myself being able to feel supported again, instead of feeling panicky and afraid, and which is only natural because but when I'm able to take the refuge in nature or in the Dharma or my angel energy, are the moments when I can embrace my fears. So to be able to embrace my pain, which for me is the only way. So far I've not been able much to let the tears come, and but it's something I have to get used to. It's a new added physical thing I will have to be able to live with. And the fortunate thing was that I heard that it's really, I'm already being very good to my body, like doing long bicycle and being outside a lot, and eating very healthy. So but there was a moment when I had to think of somebody I knew that had actually did when he was very severe, he asked for euthanasia. And I told this to a friend the first few days after I just heard, and I've this sadness and fear welled up in me, and even if as I tell you now, I can feel this also being present a little bit, because I think everybody, when you really contemplate dying, there are a few things that you are afraid of, and this is so these moments are very important for me to take refuge, to feel supported, and to feel that this is only an outer shell. This is not really me. This is what is us. I mean, what are you? Who are you? You are so much more than your body, so much more than your material possessions. Like, if you really contemplate what is you, if you feel in meditation, whether it's walking meditation or silent sitting or guided meditation, when you come into contact with this, for me it's like this ever-present blue sky or spaciousness. I'm much more than this outer form and this story that I live through in this lifetime. But sometimes that's hard to remember. So I think what happened for me the last week was also very much this, once again for the so many time, realization how precious life is. How wonderful life is while you are in the world. A beautiful song by Al Jarreau, and I love to sing also sometimes these songs from Plum Village, and I think singing can be not only a very joyful experience but also a very spiritual experience, and that's what I love so much about the way in Plum Village they practice the Dharma. It's about playfulness and joy, and I think I feel very much that if you look at nature, it's flowers, and if I look at my dogs, for example, I have 2 little dogs, and they are mostly joyful. It's like there's this playfulness in nature, this apart from obviously hunting and eating each other, but there's this lightness of being. And I think we as humans can sometimes be much too serious. So once again, because of this news, I got the gift of how important it is to take refuge in the beauty of things and the beautiful things that are in us and that surround us, which are abundant. For example, when you do a total relaxation, I don't know whether you ever done one. I am planning to record one in the near future. Is when you not only relax all the parts of your body and your organs, but you can also be grateful to take a moment and be grateful for all the wonderful miracles happening in your body, all those many things we take for granted, that I can see that my vocal cords make it able to tell you things, that my butt makes it able to sit on this bench, and my heart is beating and my lungs are breathing, and so much more. And these are all ever-present miracles, and this is just one of the thousands of things we have every day, and that we don't even take a moment to be aware of. So that's one of the reasons I love to do total relaxation once in a while, because not only helps it to relax your body and to contact Mother Earth and to take refuge in Mother Earth, but it also, for me, helps me to take refuge in the miracle of my body. And I also sometimes do that when, like once a week I put cream on my skin and on the body, and that's actually when I always thank all the parts of my body, or in my mind even also acknowledge what they do for me, which is something I learned in Plum Village, and I find enormously helpful in feeding the seeds of joy and mindfulness, as Tai would say. And I think that is such a beautiful, simple way of explaining how important it is to feed yourself with positive things in your life, and that the way we think about life, about our daily things we encounter and do, that it makes such a difference. It makes such a difference whether I go out on the street and I think like, what a beautiful day, and I'm gonna smile to people and see life as a gift, or I go out the door and I'm like, oh no, I have to do this and I have to do that, and oh no, it's just like this one cut me off here, and for me it makes such a big difference for how I do things. And it is such a simple way, I mean, but it's not simple in the sense that you have to do it, but the more you do it, the more you feed your joy and things that bring you happiness, the more you are motivated to do this and to live in that way. And Tai always explained this as like we are like a garden with seeds, and the more you feed, we tend to feed our mind with things we worry, read the newspaper, or like if you take like / quote unquote a normal regular life, you just go by autopilot, and maybe you don't feed yourself with so many things of gratefulness. And Tai proposed this other way, is that you consciously feed yourself with joyful things. So to be grateful while you eat, to acknowledge where this food comes from and how many beings have made it possible for yourself to be fed. Like the farmers, the people in the store you bought it, the people that brought the food from A to B, the people that made the pots and pans to be able to cook, and so forth and so forth. And this can go for anything. The water that you have, in a tap, the many wisdom and that you get from other people, whether it might be books or in your profession, the many beautiful things we learn from our family. I've inherited so many, although I have not very good relations, but I still can feel grateful for the many nice qualities, nice is for the many beautiful qualities that I inherited from my parents. And so taking refuge in gratefulness, maybe taking refuge, and I would maybe you can start making a journal, grateful for gratefulness. I did that, and I sometimes do that, and or do in your meditation, like be grateful for, or pause to think of the things that you're grateful for, and it makes a big difference. It's it makes such a big difference to be able to pause and feel the support you have every minute of every day of your life, of the universe. And at the same time to know life is made of impermanence. It is made of and that impermanence is not necessarily a sad thing. I have known many people who are very afraid to talk about death, to contemplate death, to contemplate impermanence, which is, to me, feels very sad, because you somehow miss a big opportunity to feel the joy of impermanence. And impermanence is something that we have in us and around us every day anyway. That is I will never breathe in the same air. My cells are constantly changing. As I sit here, the sound constantly change, people passing by. We as humans want to hold on especially to the beautiful things and the precious moments, and which is understandable, but it's also an illusion because it's not possible. I sometimes admire these people that have seem to have these really permanent lives with living in the same spot their whole lives and having the same friends and the same. And in my life, the constellations have been of many, many, many changes of scenery, of people, because I've lost many friends to AIDS in my 20s and 30s, and changing country twice. So I've grown up with impermanence, which is a gift, because I always tell people, seriously, take twice a year for a few days. Imagine that you will die in 3 months. Really do that. Really contemplate. And then what is important? What really matters? What do you want to do? Who is important? What do you want to say? And I think that is one of the great gifts that I have been given, to be aware of impermanence since I was a teenager. I mean, not that consciously, obviously, but to know that life is ending, and to therefore know that I'm more than this body, which doesn't mean that if I have a lot of pain, or when I had cancer, really severe cancer 3 years ago, I went through a period with extreme pain, and I reached a moment where I had a talk with my doctor, regular doctor, about euthanasia, because I was at the moment I feel like I can only handle, I don't know how much more pain I can handle. And only the knowledge, she was very understanding, and we talked about it, and then it went away again. And this is also the beauty of impermanence, especially also if you have pain, to know that also the pain is impermanent, that it is not, I don't know, I think you probably had pain, everybody does, and it can also be emotional pain. If you think about it, it doesn't stay the same all the time. It might be really bad, and you really might think you can't handle it, but then it will subside, it will change, it's impermanent. So I think that for me, this realization is very helpful. Maybe sometimes in the moment of extreme distress, I forget, because you so identify with your pain, your sadness, your fear, your anger. But for me, fortunately, there's maybe I've practiced enough. I don't know. Not enough is there's never enough, but maybe I practiced sufficiently to be able to remember. There's more, or some. As they also say in Plum Village, there's a blue sky. The blue sky is always there, even if the clouds. Behind the clouds, there's blue sky, and that is such a refuge. In Buddhism, there's also exercises where actually in meditation you contemplate this body is made of impermanence. It is meant to sickness is part of life, and death is part of life. We are destined to lose everything we love. There's my memory is horrible. I forgot which sutra it is. And I did this. I was fortunate to be part of a few times of a group that we practiced for one sutra for 3 months, and we would do homework, and I really love these exercises on impermanence, which you do I did for a few months, and it made me, I think, even more aware of how temporary this shell is, this body. And I don't know you, but I've always been fascinated by death in a way. Maybe also because I've lost quite a few friends in my 20s, and so I was very young when I realized, when I was confronted with the impermanence of life. And I remember when with my first partner, we did lots of beautiful hiking vacations in France, and sometimes you would encounter a dead animal in the forest, and I would look at it attentively, and it's just, I don't know why I have this fascination, and maybe as an opposite reaction to our society that completely doesn't want to have anything to do with death here in the West. I heard a Dharma talk where somebody described they had been living in India for quite a while, and they described how different people there treat death, that since there's a public cremation and you have places where you can bring your loved ones to be cremated, so death is much more present. I think this goes for many poorer countries where they don't have, there's much more death and disease because healthcare is not so good, and everything is not so as sanitized as it is here in the West. And which in itself is sad, but I think we have a unhealthy way of dealing, and a completely unrealistic way of dealing with life, like this this cult of ever being young and doing all kinds of things to your body to keep being young. And I think for young people it's hard not to buy into that lie of illusion of that is even important, because it is not. And I can find myself as well, as I'm now in my late 50s. I can I can notice sometimes that I'm bothered by how my body changes, because I think even women, even more than men, have gotten this extreme message of how you have to be look in order to be loved. And as much as I not want to conform to these ideas, but I live in a society where I'm confronted with these images. So, and I think I'm also extra sensitive to outer influences, is why I've decided a long time ago not to read any newspapers anymore, because I felt quite helpless in you get so much negative news, and then what to do about it, because that's my natural reaction. What can I do about this sadness, about this? So I've decided, like, this was even before I met Thai and all these beautiful ways to practice the Dharma. I rather feed my joyous seeds, so I can be a light and brighten up the world, and use the little energy I have to spread a feeling of love, or help people in the little way that I can. And because what good is it if I get depressed by news, and then what would that help anybody? I mean, it's a conflict, because it's important to know what is wrong in the world, but I rather, for example, I'm a member of Amnesty International, so I rather write, be part of petitions and writing, so I feel more proactive. So I feel I can be a little drop in the water of change. So I hope this makes sense. And sometimes I wish I could do more. This is one of the sadnesses I carry with me, and this is also one of the reasons why I started to do these videos and why I'm writing my book, because I feel that by the gifts I have given through my illnesses and the other traumatic experiences, and dealing with the Dharma with these things, I've maybe learned ways to cope that can help other people. But one of my sorrows is that I wish I had more energy, so I could do, as in the West it would be labeled practical work, where actually you have a function and you concretely help people. And but as my teacher, Chef Bookman, would say, it's only a story. We are so much more than the story, but I think I'm still too caught up in the story part of living my this life and what I'm doing in it. And he's talking about what is behind that story in this body, like our energy, like what I said earlier, like who are we really? But for that I do not meditate enough, or it doesn't matter. But so taking refuge in joy. And there's a line in a song in Plum Village: pray for my joy to be steady and calm, which I love, because it is something I've been striving for in my life, and I actually got the Dharma name from Thai, which has in it equanimity, and there's a quality I find I miss, and I long for, I strive for, which is because I'm quite an emotional person, so I tend to go with my emotions, like identify too much with my anger or sadness or joy. And in longer retreats, I've been able to experience and see, especially also in other people, this equilibrium, this steadiness of not being swept up and down so much by your emotions. But I think, we all have our personalities, but it is something, I always think like it's not, it was for a reason that I got that Dharma name. So to end this brief sharing, I would like to share with you my love of the unconditional supportive energy of Avalokiteshvara by singing to you. Namo Avalokiteshvaraya. 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 Be well, dear friends, and don't forget to count your blessings and be grateful, even for your hard times, I would say. Bye.